It's now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your hosts, Josh Stevens, Tim Thompson, and Tom Schultz. Woo!
Hey there, everybody. We are back with another episode, and as always, I am joined here with Tim and Tom. Guys, how we doing?
Living large, Playboy. How are you?
Doing good. Tom, how are you?
Tim's on his cough syrup again, so he might say some weird stuff, but I'm doing all right.
Good, excellent. Glad to hear, guys. We are doing our Week 4 must sit or temper those expectations. Obviously for fantasy football. Guys, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with quarterback. Who are you looking at sitting this week? Or, you know what, they're not going to do as good as what a lot of people think they're going to do.
I'll start. I'm going to start with one, Jared Goff. Started his season pretty well. A lot of people are starting him and have been riding that wave. Had a big week last week. Him and Bob Woods linking up. But Minnesota defense, Thursday night, a lot of combinations there that I just don't like. And so temper your expectations and do not start Jared Goff.
Yeah, that Vikings pass rush is a little banged up right now, but you have to expect that
and
team.
mentally insane.
Yeah, Everson Griffin's having himself a couple weeks. It's kind of the Minnesota Vikings Richie Incognito. But you got to expect that Vikings defense and team in general to play a lot better. So I definitely get what you're saying, Tim. Plus, it's a short week. A lot of crazy things can happen on short weeks, so I don't mind that.
Do you think teams say to themselves, you know what, his CTE is bad, but it's not that bad? Like, that's what they did for the first couple weeks, and now that he's awful, they barred him from team facilities.
I don't believe in CTE, but...
well, that's... And I'm the one on cough syrup. Moving on, Josh.
I haven't seen that concussion movie yet.
The one quarterback I'm going to go with is quarterback Matthew Stafford for the Detroit Lions. I do have the Vikings winning this game, but they are playing the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are actually playing pretty good defense. In the secondary wise, they only gave up 15 points to Russell Wilson last week. They gave up 13 to Eli the week before and 18 to Cam Newton that week before. It's just, I like the way the Cowboys secondary is looking, but I still like the Detroit Lions to pull off the win. But just temper your expectations for Matthew Stafford. Don't expect a 30-point game out of him or over 300 yards.
I told people last week not to start Carson Wentz. I said it might take a little bit of time for him to get in the swing of things and get rolling and being that QB1 that we saw last year. And I'm staying on that train right now. He's pretty cheap. He's under $6K on DraftKings. But I think he only put up 13 points last week. I think it's going to be something similar against Tennessee Titans. That defense has been playing very well. Watch out for Carson Wentz this week.
Temper the expectations of one Ryan Fitzpatrick. Until the ball drops, I'm going to continue to say this.
You look good one week.
Especially after against this Bears defense. You know, it's one of those times where I would not be surprised if he gets hit hard. He's an old man with a big old beard. But don't be surprised if he gets hit hard and goes down for the game. And Jameis is now back, so I think that leash for him is a lot shorter now.
Tim, that was my second guy as well. Look, $6,200 on DraftKings, 7th most expensive quarterback. You have to expect the fall to start. I thought it was last week in that first half against the Steelers when he had the 3 interceptions, the 3 turnovers, and his numbers weren't looking too well. I absolutely love the weapons there in Tampa Bay. It's some of the best weapons in the NFL right now. One of the reasons why he's set the record and why he's QB1 overall in fantasy football. But I think this Bears defense might give them some issues, and they're going to be able to put pressure on him.
For any of you guys that have Cam Newton and he's on his bye week this week, please do not go out and pick up Josh Allen because he was QB4 last week. So please just don't do that. But yeah, I had that quarterback the same as mine for my second one as well. So
just follow my lead. Grab my pocket.
Let's go ahead and go on to running backs. Who do you guys have?
Tim, you want to lead the Steelers ship again?
Yeah, I can go here. I'm going to stay away from Kareem Hunt, in all honesty. At Denver, I feel like Denver saw him a couple times last year. They know what they're looking at in Kansas City. I know Mahomes has been airing it out. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns last week. Had himself a game. Look for Kareem Hunt to kind of fall back to the pack again. at Denver. Not going to be a good week.
And he's kind of becoming that running back that's completely touchdown dependent. He's scored the last couple of weeks, but he is not involved in the receiving game at all, something we thought would happen and that we predicted right. I think that's going to continue. I like that call a lot, Tim. My first guy is going to be James Conner. He's $7,500 on DraftKings right now. Not super expensive, but he really hasn't looked great running the football. He had a good fourth quarter against the Buccaneers, but besides that, he was averaging under 2 yards per carry against a pretty suspect Bucs rush defense. Now he's facing the Baltimore Ravens, who are good at stopping the run. I think they'll be able to limit James Conner, and I don't think his price tag is worth it this week.
I actually like that pick, Tom. I think you look at James Conner overall, he had a great week 1. Like you said, and week 2 and week 3, not so hot, but he's getting that production in the receiving game. So I do like that. Lamar Miller for me, I'm staying away from. I like the Houston Texans to air the ball out this week, and you just look at the carries for Lamar Miller: 20 carries, 14 carries, 10 carries. Deshaun Watson had more yardage carrying the ball than Lamar Miller did. The only thing that saved Lamar Miller was pretty much the receiving game. 5 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. I don't see that happening again for him. I like the Houston Texans to air the ball out and Lamar Miller not to have a good game once again.
Give me Alex Collins. Scored a touchdown last week, but on the road at Pittsburgh, feel like they're going to make Joe Flacco beat him. So give me Alex Collins as my running back to failure.
My next guy, it's not really crazy good value or anything on DraftKings, but Isaiah Crowell, right now, he's the 12th ranked running back in PPR formats, which is kind of crazy to think about. But he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns with this Jets team. I just think the game flow in this game is going to be so bad for him. I think it's going to be more of a Bilal Powell game. So if you have both of them, I would much rather prefer to start Powell over Crowell. I do not want anything to do with Crowell this week.
Yeah, the only thing that could save Crowell is what he kind of did last week, where it's a random touchdown or two. It's touchdown dependent, but if you're looking for yardage and receptions out of the backfield, Powell would be the guy.
He had a great touchdown celebration.
What was that? I didn't see
I
it.
didn't. We wiped his ass with the ball.
Oh,
and then threw it in.
Idiot.
Yep.
It's awesome.
I'm staying away from the San Francisco 49 backfield. You're
49.
49ers backfield, sorry.
San Francisco 49.
Well, they might as well be 49 because they don't have a quarterback anymore.
They don't have a
They're
53-man roster anymore.
Started CJ Beathard, so some people may be looking at the Chargers defense where they have given up 28 points, 27 points, and 20 points to running backs, but this past week they gave up the 28 points to a very good Todd Gurley, and they just don't. It's Alfred Morris and it's Matt Breida. If Matt Breida plays, they don't have a quarterback. Just stay away from the San Francisco 49er backfield, especially if you have Christian McCaffrey.
Stay away from San Francisco in general.
If you have Christian McCaffrey like on a bye, like with me, I have Alfred Morris. I'm not starting Alfred Morris. I'm throwing a dart and going with Aaron Jones.
Fair enough.
You have another one or no?
I already did two, bro.
Did you?
Mind
Who was your second one?
Mind your P's and Q's, bish.
Let's go to wide receiver.
Getting serious.
Who you guys got? Oh, yeah, that's right. You went first and made somebody up. Let's go. Who do you guys have first?
Tim, you want to go first?
Well, no, not really, but
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
You know, Josh, you've been pretty bold lately, taking like big time receivers and warning people about them. You know, Tim's going to want to reach over this table and slap me. Josh, you might feel the same. But I'm going to go, this is solely based on value, but it's Odell Beckham Jr.
Whew.
Look, right now, $8,700 on DraftKings. And when you play cash lineups, you want guys, say he's worth $8,700. You want him to score close to 25 points to be worth his value. You want to times everything by 3. I don't think he's going to put up close to 25 points this week. That's why I don't think he's going to be worth the play. I think he's going to be matched up with Marshawn Lattimore most of that game. He's been pretty good at limiting number one receivers. I just think Eli Manning, the Giants, will rely more upon Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley to lead this offense this week. I can see Beckham scoring close to 20 points, but if he scores 20, that's not a great game on DraftKings for him this week.
I have a common thing. Actually, I don't hate that at all, Tom. I have a common theme this week with Thursday Night Football, but I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to go Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is still without a touchdown this year. I know that they have done a great job of spreading the ball around, but Thursday night, I feel like a Cooper Kupp's going to be more your possession guy. Bob Woods could be more your big play guy. Brandon Cooks could just kind of fall by the wayside. I think that you'll have a Xavier Woods on him through a majority of the game. So look for Brandon Cooks to struggle.
Oh, man, Tom, I don't know. I just I feel like that was a very big ask right there for the OBJ. You look at what the Saints have been doing in the secondary, and they've been letting up 70-something points to wide receivers. That's a big ask. Mine is going to be Bobby Woods. Bobby Woods has put up some pretty big numbers as of late. They are playing the Minnesota Vikings. They pretty much shut out the wide receivers for Buffalo, even though they were up big. Green Bay only had 161 yards receiving against that Minnesota defense. They did give up 41 points to them, though, and then they only gave up 110 to the San Francisco wide receivers in Week 1. So I'm going to temper those expectations for Mr. Bobby Woods.
I get where you're coming from with Bobby Woods. I'm going to go somewhere else from a number 2 wide receiver that I'm going to temper my expectations to, and it's going to be one Kenny Golladay. I know you guys are both high on him, but you just don't really ever know with the Lions. They're so hot and cold, hit or miss. You may as well just call the Lions Mrs. Thompson, because you never know what you're going to get. All right? I'm not sure what Matthew Stafford's going to show up. Who knows? Dallas could always slow the game down with their running game. I'm just not sold on the passing game of the Detroit Lions. So Kenny Golladay is going to be my temper your expectations.
For me, my second guy is going to be Amari Cooper. For him to be viable in daily fantasy football, you're going to need him to score over 16 points this week. Even in a full PPR league, I don't see it happening. When this guy has any competition at the cornerback spot, whenever he's got a good corner on him, he has been struggling. And I consider Denzel Ward a good corner. That dude's he's been playing lights out. He's been manning up the opponent's best receiver and playing pretty good football for a rookie cornerback. I think Cooper's going to struggle this week. I think Denzel Ward's going to limit him once again.
Yeah, man, it's rough to see Cooper struggle back-to-back weeks, and actually almost the whole season, so 3 weeks back-to-back-to-back, and it's going to be very interesting. We saw Week 1 was Jared Cook was the guy to go to, and last week we saw that Jordy Nelson was the guy to go to. So I'm interested to see they try to get the ball to Amari Cooper Week 2. So I'm interested to see if they try to go back there, or if they just say whoever is going to be open is who they're going to throw it to. But yeah, Ward is very, very good to shut him down. If I'm going to go with somebody else as well, a lot of people are going to be looking at Mr. Calvin Ridley, who put up 40.5 points this past week against the Saints. He also put up 16.7 in Week 2. I believe that was against the Carolina Panthers. They're playing Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals gave up 24.6 points last week to the Carolina Panthers wide receivers. In the week before, they gave up 43 in the week 37. I just see a little bit more of Austin Hooper in this game and a little bit more of Mohamed Sanu. Honestly, 37 points is not going to happen again for Calvin Ridley.
No.
I just don't see that production. I can already see people going out there and saying he's the new Julio and Julio is the new Roddy White. Please don't think that right away. Julio is still Julio, so temper those expectations on Ridley here, please.
I agree with you completely. I don't know. I named both of my guys. I agree.
All right, sounds good. Moving on to tight end. Who you guys got?
My guy's going to be Gronk. I'm staying away from him in daily. Look, if you got him in your redraft league, dynasty league, you probably got to start him. There aren't a lot better options out there, but when you get to cherry pick who you want to start, he is not worth it this week. Right now, 7,000 on DraftKings, which is a lot for a tight end. To live up to expectations, he needs 21 fantasy points this week. I just don't see that happening. I think the Dolphins, they're playing good football right now. They're playing smart football, and I think they're going to do exactly what the Jaguars and the Lions did to Gronk. They're going to make someone else beat them. They're not going to lose to Gronk, and I do not like this matchup against him, especially I'm hoping the Dolphins put Minka up on him. I think it'll be a fun little matchup as well. But I don't think Gronk's gonna be worth that money this week.
I'm going to take Jared Cook. I just don't think that, Cook's been a little bit overvalued, in my opinion. I know he's kind of that middle guy, but I just don't think going into this game with the Cleveland Browns that he's going to be the difference maker. So I would be sitting Jared Cook, personally.
All right, big name. I've done it every episode so far. I'm going to go Zach Ertz.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Smalls.
It's rough, but the Tennessee Titans, they have not given up more than 8 points to an opposing tight end. We all know that Zach Ertz is on a different level than most tight ends, but it's just, you look at what they have done. You just kind of have to go with the trend. Yep. But, Jacksonville, who do they have? Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Houston, they don't really have a tight end. Miami doesn't really have a tight end. So this could be just be numbers, looking at numbers and not having that star power tight end. But I know Zach Ertz, and I know Zach Ertz is really good, and I know he's going to get double-digit targets. But I'm going to temper my expectations for Zach Ertz overall for this week.
Makes sense, man.
Pretty interesting.
You guys have anything else?
I would say just watch one Jimmy Graham as well. Not that I don't think that that the Packers will handle Buffalo, but I think they're gonna jump out early, and then Jimmy Graham's just gonna be silent.
All right, fair enough.
I can see that.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham so far has not broke past that 100-point mark or that 100-yard mark in receiving. A lot of people thought Jimmy Graham would go in there from the Seahawks would be that saving grace, that tight end savior. So far,
a lot of Packers fans.
Not so much.
Yep.
Honkies.
All right, that's all we have for you guys. These are your must-sits for the week, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Listen, hopefully we're right. We should be, mostly. For Tim and Tom and myself, we are Pony Keg Sports. You guys can follow us on Twitter, at Pony Keg Sports, at Pony_Keg_Tom, and at Fight Talk Tim. If you guys have any questions, email us, ponykegsports@gmail.com. And until next time.